Well, it's just after 9, and we've got a lot of fun questions here to run through. Thank you so much to Bob and Sam for letting us use their platform to host our Mega Camp Mastermind panel this morning. Andrew, Bob, Donna, and Rick and Lisa have all offered to answer a few questions and tell us about their experience at Mega Camp. So I have some questions here prepared, and I'm just going to go one at a time and ask you guys. So Rick and Lisa, you're right up in front on my screen here, so I'll get started with the two of you. How long have you been in real estate, and how many times have you been to Mega Camp?
A million years. No, 30 years for me.
It's been 7 for me.
7 years? Awesome. And how many Mega Camp experiences?
I probably did, this was my like 7th.
I think
Seventh
this
one?
was 4.
Okay, awesome. Now, in comparison between being live and in person and the digital experience, what were your thoughts?
It was my own non-disciplined self this time that I didn't plug in like I would have when I was away. You know,
Okay.
that's a problem.
Yeah,
that was a problem for me.
Me too. It was different. We prefer traveling there and really immersing ourselves in it. And we both didn't quite do that this time. So we took a little bit away from it. But I was impressed with how they changed and pivoted and offered out pretty cool format, you know, given the circumstances.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Andrew, my friend, would you like to unmute yourself and tell us how long you have been in real estate and how many Mega Camp experiences you've had?
Of course. So my name is Andrew Brown. I've been in real estate for 3 years now, all at KWSB. And this was actually my first Mega Camp.
Oh,
so,
wow.
You know, this is the basis for Mega Camps going forward. And I thought it was pretty cool in the virtual format, all things considered.
That's great. That's great. Well, I'm glad to hear that you signed up and went this year. And, you know, it was a little bit different where you just heard Rick and Lisa's experiences being there in person and versus virtual. So we're hearing two different sides of this, people that are experiencing it for the first time in this digital mind, in this digital world. Bob, how about you? How long have you been in real estate and how many Mega Camps have you experienced?
1.5 million years. and it's my 5th Mega Camp.
Awesome. And what did you think about the experience this year with it being digital compared to in person?
This is the new normal. While I like being there for what this has done for me, I actually had my whole team was there.
Oh, wow.
One of my struggles at Mega Camp is there is so much content, especially in the tracks, can't get it all. So in this case here, everybody joined. We divided and conquered. We took the sessions that we thought were most useful and did it. So I just need to discipline myself. I did quite well. I did quite well, and I actually took it on the road. If I was on the road, I'd go on my Android. I'd be listening all the time. So I got everything that I wanted out of it.
Good. That's awesome.
I vote for this going forward, but I like the personal, you know, I like the experience because of the energy being there, but this works for me.
Awesome. Good. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed the experience. Donna, how many years have you been in real estate and how many Mega Camps have you been to?
I've been in real estate 16 years, and this is my 4th Mega Camp. Previous to that, I was a pretty faithful attender of the NAR conventions too. So I just love a good convention.
Awesome. Awesome. Now, Donna, did you have any hesitations to register this year with it being in a digital component rather than in person?
I was concerned that my own my own Wi-Fi at home would not support it. And I did have 1 or 2, you know, epic crashes with it. And I was just, I was just concerned that it, you know, probably is a complicated process of doing it. But I have to say, I was pleasantly surprised.
Good.
You know, I thought that it was, I had 1 or 2 huddles that were, again, just because I think the other side, just, she was like in Kentucky or something, had some struggles with her Wi-Fi, but but the actual sort of KW piece of it, I thought was pretty well done.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's been the overall feedback that we've heard so far is, there really weren't any glitches or hiccups. It was pretty impressive for a first time taking a live in-person experience to a digital world. It really went off really smooth. So I'm glad to hear that you had the same feedback.
Yeah.
Andrew, now, did you have a strategy prior to going into the event?
So with Mega Camp, I didn't really know what to expect. So I think I only saw the agendas maybe the day before it started.
Okay.
And I noticed that they had tracks pretty early on. So they have the leads, listing, and leverage. And I knew for my business specifically, I'm leaning more towards information on lead and leverage. So I started kind of poking around through, seeing which ones were, more relevant towards me. And that usually included a lot of, lead levers that were digital.
Okay.
And also leveraged. So that's kind of how I formatted my agenda, because there was like hundreds of tracks, which is also nice because I can go back and look at the other ones that I missed
Right.
through this format, which is nice. But initially, I just went through one time and just set my agenda together.
And how did you feel as far as being able to go through and set that agenda? Did you feel like it was pretty smooth, pretty simple to be able to do?
Yeah, it was really easy. You just go to the full agenda page. So it's essentially a whole platform for this the live event. So it's not like you're on a Zoom call or anything like that. It's a very well curated platform that, you could take notes directly in it. And all you had to do was heart something from the full schedule and it appeared on your agenda.
Awesome.
Super easy.
Awesome. Good. Thank you. Bob, how about you? Did you have a plan prior to attending Mega Camp?
I did have a plan. Interesting. We started our 2021 planning already, earlier than most times, but the coach had really encouraged it. So we had a plan. I had a framework for the strategy. Knew the areas that we need to focus on, and actually attended those sessions, and that was helpful. So it really worked. And I think Andrew's point about going back, they are all captured. They'll be there for 60 days. And to go back, because there was so much and so fast, to go back to sessions, and I'll use it as, going forward as a planning tool. We'll go back to the sessions that were most relevant and work it for 2021 planning.
Awesome. Awesome. I love it. Thank you. Rick and Lisa, what was the best breakout session you went to and why? Oh, you're still on mute, guys.
Well, I took your advice, Alicia, and I attended the admin class, which was Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. And that was the one I took the most notes on. It put us right into action. So we finally have someone, on our team as a client care coordinator, and we're excited. So we're just,
Awesome.
So Andrew mentioned leads, and I think we're kind of dividing and conquering, doing a little bit of both, but I was focused on the leverage aspect and pretty excited that they're still available for 60 days, because I'm definitely going to go back in and use that for our team to, rewatch and relearn.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's great to hear.
Well, I loved, my favorite part is when Gary interviews everyone. That's my most favorite part, when he interviews the top agents. That's just amazing. You get so much information from them. But also I did some of the luxury, with our luxury designation, we had some breakout groups with that. And I feel like, I'd love to get higher priced listings, right? So I focused on that.
Awesome.
Really, yeah.
And I predict one day Gary will be interviewing Lisa.
Oh, I love it. How amazing would that be?
Right, Andrew?
I don't know. You might have to fight Donna Frano for that seat, Lisa.
I like competition. Now I'm gonna do it. Now I'm gonna be-
Oh, God.
Very doable. You definitely could do it.
Donna, what was the best breakout session that you attended and why?
There were two actually. The first was a session about habits. And it's essentially the one thing. It was with Jay Papasan, whom I adore. And, I love that book. I've seen that book, The One Thing, in so many houses that I've gone into that are, they're not real estate professionals. They are, just people selling their houses. And you see the book a lot on their bookcase. And it really just comes down to action. I think he said that, essentially everybody knows what you're supposed to do, but why is it that you don't do it? It comes down to action. So that was really impactful. I also, even though I'm not a I watched this after the fact because I too adore the fact that these are available for 60 days. There was a YPN, and I'm no YPN, that's for sure. But it was about building wealth. And I was just so impressed with these young people and the lives that they're building. I just primarily, there's the business aspect of it, but their own personal wealth through investment property. I was just super, super impressed by these folks. So those are my two favorite.
Awesome. Now I'm surprised Gary Keller didn't come up there. You were looking forward to seeing Gary so much.
Well, I'm both mesmerized and terrified of him. But that's not a breakout session, Alicia. That's why I didn't answer that. But
oh, okay, you're right. Yes.
I just was
you
being
got me.
literal.
You got me. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Keeping me on my
Love Gary,
toes.
though.
First cup of coffee. Appreciate it, Donna. All right, guys. So who attended a digital exposition hall and did you get any value from it?
Hey, do you care about what's important to me?
I do, Bob. I do. Do you want to tell us about your best breakout session?
I will. Yeah, that's okay.
Sorry, I'm getting distracted because my camera keeps going out over here.
I know, not a problem at all. Hey, I just tell you, and I just had a thought. The session that Donna mentioned, which was the very last session of the third day, I think that was the one, and so many people went up. That was so fundamental and so good about just doing it. I thought it'd be interesting if there was a way to, I don't know if you can do that, share it out with more people. It in itself was just so big. That'd be interesting to see if we could find a way to do a Zoom meeting and share it with more people in the center. Invite people. And in fact, on any one of these sessions, there's some great learning that you might leverage. I don't know if that's permitted or not, but that's it. But my biggest one, obviously, my greatest need is for growth. And the one I went to, there was a session on partnering where there were 3 agents came from different walks of lives. They came together and built a partnership. Everybody had their own lane, and they've done amazing. So that was really good for me. So that's the one I like most.
Awesome. Great. Thank you. Andrew, how about you? Did you have a favorite breakout session that you attended? Oh, you're still on mute.
You would think I'm good at technology, but
It's okay. It's still early, guys. Come on.
I know. So it was going to be the Get Creative New Solutions for Virtual Lead Generation. So that's kind of like my primary focus for this mega camp. But what was good is this always happens to me. And I'm sure Lisa knows when she was mentoring me, it's like everything you do works. A lot of people came up with different ideas of how they pivoted during COVID and new strategies they adopted. And as long as you stick with it, it's going to work. And that was kind of a recurring, theme there amongst everyone they went through. So I think there was agents who, are a couple years in the business that are trying, new technology, people who have been around, 20 plus years in the business. And all of them were having success just by sticking with what they were, what they were doing, and having their select lead levers, and not trying to just spread themselves too thin. So That was a
Awesome.
really good one.
Awesome. Thank you. Now, out of our panelists, did anybody attend any of the exhibition halls? Oh my gosh. Yeah, any of the digital exposition halls?
No,
I did
No.
not.
nope. I felt like that. I went to go to a few times, but it just felt like they're selling. And there was nothing there that I was really looking for. I looked around and I said, is there something there that I'm not aware of that I need to have? And so I didn't. So I
Yeah.
don't know how that went. I would have, and I always go to the exhibit halls when I'm there, but not at all. No time.
No time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were a lot of breakout sessions, so I could see why people would probably skip over that in this case. Okay, Andrew, did you
I'd say
attend
the
any?
other thing is, given with, the shift rules of kind of, really tightening up your expenses, it just didn't seem prudent for me to even be attracted to any of those
Right.
opportunities there. Because sure, they might work for me, but, I gotta be conscious of expenses, especially with Gary Keller's kind of keynote speech talking about once the vaccine comes out, the next 1 to 2 years may not be the best years in real estate. So
Yeah, no, it's true, and I know like a big thing when you go to the live mega camps is, walking through and you're looking at all the different vendors and they're talking to you and they're giving you swag. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how this new digital experience, it changes that whole experience in person and live, because I feel like, just from what the feedback is here, it sounds like most people kind of skipped right over that this year. So it's going to be interesting to see if that's something that's offered in the future. Maybe it will just be less options, especially where people are tightening up their finances.
I will say, if you were interested in a product that was there, it was a great opportunity to get it for some sort of discount or something like that.
Yeah,
So.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Alicia, one of the things, just decide what I didn't hear it at the exhibition, but it came out in one of the sessions about internal communication. And I don't know if someone just said it, so I apologize. I wasn't paying attention. This product called Slack, internal communication tool.
Mm.
The whole
Yeah.
email, we text within our team, we email, and you lose so much. There's a product out there called Slack. It replaces email for your team. And not something I'm going to jump into, but boy, communications is so important. A product or an application would allow you to do that. And that seemed really neat.
Yeah, we actually started using Slack, the leadership team within the region, and it was pretty interesting. It wasn't something that we found that we actually stopped using it because people weren't really engaging in it on a large scale. But I think that has to do with the fact that there were still emails and there were still text messages and there were still phone calls. I feel like it's one of those platforms that has to be an individual platform, and all the other little like connections have to kind of go away. Otherwise it's just too much. But it's definitely an interesting platform to check out. Since we're on the topic of technology, Bob, was there anything else about new technology from Mega Camp that you learned about this year that excites you, that interests you?
The only thing interests me is technology is command and making that work. What was interesting is the pre-mega camp session with our local big agent teams was a bit disappointing, because 4 out of the 5 of them I don't think are using command, pretty much, except Hudson. Hudson Santana is committed to it, and we're committed to it. So I did anything I could to see how to get that, because I believe I'm not going to any other platform. It's just you can't do it, and I'm committed to that. And I believe that they're putting the effort into it. So, and we're making progress. So that was my number 1 technology item.
Awesome, thank you.
Good for you,
Rick
Bob.
and Lisa, anything technology that excited you that you want to share with the office?
I kind of agree with Bob. I didn't really plug into any technology or, lead technology-based lead sources or lead classes or breakout sessions, but anything about command I'm kind of interested in, because, like Hudson, like Bob, that's our only CRM right now. We're not using, Follow Up Boss or Top Producer or any, and we've thought about it, but we're committing to, go all in on Market Leader and Command and just kind of use that to its fullest extent. So I got a couple of things from Command, and it's just a learning process for me. I'm not going to learn it all at Mega. I have to keep plugging in and keep learning and keep using it.
Awesome. Lisa, how about you? Do you feel the same?
Yeah, I just feel like I need to leverage that part out. That's what I feel like. I
Yes.
mean, there's only so
I
much.
agree.
I need to concentrate on the things that are money making.
That is not part of our one thing.
That is not part of my one thing. So we do have Erin, who's every time we have a transaction, Erin from Elite is taking that, putting them into Command and actually setting them up on campaigns for us.
Good.
So it's part of, just
Leverage.
leverage, and I'm loving that.
Absolutely. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Donna, how about you? Any new tech?
Just the Market Center Command, it looks like as a member of leadership, the recruiting platform is a little bit farther along than it had been. So that was pretty exciting.
I agree.
So that was good. Yeah, but unless I missed it, there didn't seem to be any huge rollouts of anything super techy.
No.
Did
No,
anybody
it's-
hear
Nope.
the prize announcement and I missed it?
Nope.
No? Okay.
No, a lot of updates as far as how Command is performing and, the different updates that are taking place to get Command to where, everybody wants it to be and make it more user friendly.
Yeah.
Andrew, how about you? Any tech updates?
So I was looking at some of the tech that they were using for like lead leverage. So like Kimberly Mercer from the Chestnut Hill office, she uses, I want to say, some sort of webinar client. I forget which one it was. I don't think it was Webinar Jam. It was another one, to host these virtual buyer classes.
Yeah.
So, tech like that I was interested in, because you could do evergreen webinars where you do it once and then you kind of replay it and you kind of watch live and you can answer questions, say, hey, your question wasn't answered here, we'll follow up with you later.
Yeah.
Or you can even leverage further and have an admin do that piece and then they'll tell you, hey, can you respond to these people tomorrow? So that was a big piece that I was looking at. That's something that's not in Command quite yet. But I am keeping apprised of Command. I just don't think it's kind of like what Lisa said, my one thing isn't to kind of learn a CRM, it's to keep doing business. And I just brought on an assistant to kind of help me with my CRM and managing that piece. So I would rather them not get too confused learning something new when I just brought them on.
Absolutely. Okay, great. Now, to stay in line with what you had just mentioned as far as Kim with this virtual events that she's hosting, as far as having this type of tech platform where instead of having her, I forget what she calls it, but it's basically like a beer tasting where she goes and meets with all of her clients and has this client appreciation event where she used to do it in person. Right now, everything's become digital, virtual, online. So had you heard anything that really sparked anything in your mind, Andrew, that was like, maybe that's something that I might want to start doing and a way to engage with my clients from a virtual perspective?
Oh, 110%. I've been following Kimberly since she was, I think, in Maine. So I've seen her journey from the beginning. And both her and Sven Anderson, which I think he's out of the Northwest office, they both kind of made this pivot to online virtual events for buyers. Sven takes it one further and does 3 different verticals, I think buyer, downsizer, and investor. And just doing these online events, providing information that's, very contextually, relevant to the person watching it. And that's something that I kind of want to spin off of and do, essentially something similar, but, you can't always just copy. You have to kind of like rinse, reuse, recycle a little bit. So with me, I think I have to do like smaller snippets rather than that 1 hour block of time. Just do, like 5 to 10 minute little, TikToks in relation to, in terms of size. for clients so that they get the information but could keep moving. Because
Okay.
they're seeing a lot of consumers right now have a very short time attention span.
Mhm.
So the longer it is, kind of you lose them if it's not contextually accurate or relevant. So the shorter is you can kind of keep most people back on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Andrew, I just want to say, you can rip off and duplicate anybody's time. You just, because you're going to do it different no matter what. So
True.
don't
She just-
worry about taking someone else's ideas. You know, they're automatically going to become your own. So
True.
I-
She
our-
only requested that we don't use the same name, which I think
Right.
it's Brews and Buyers or something like that.
Bruce
Just
and
Yeah.
buyers.
Please-
That's
buyers
right.
and
please
Yeah.
don't
buyers.
use the same name.
Yeah.
Well, what's actually important for her, what she does is it's not through the street property team. It's actually a separate webpage called Brews and Buyers Home
Ah.
Buying thing.
So a group, is
Yeah.
it a Facebook group page?
It's just like a separate business page,
Oh.
but everything marketing wise runs through that page. So they don't know it's like Kimberly until they start getting the emails. And she was actually able to connect with a referral partner in, I think, Western Mass. And they just did the same ads in Western Mass under that same kind of business heading. But you can't tell if it's Kimberly or if it's the other person until, you start getting the emails, which I thought was pretty cool. So she has she could leverage that into like a whole business,
Absolutely.
this franchise.
Bob, I see you nodding your head in agreement. Was there something from that you took that you think you'll bring on for your team as well?
Exactly. It's interesting how much we get the same thing. The Kimberly and Sven idea about these webinars and making them interactive. And Sven said, "Hey, I got kids. I can't do this at night." He runs it at night. He's not even there. They think it's him. Great idea. And my team said to me, "Hey, Bob, we need to do this." And I agreed. But I tell you what, and so the idea is that if I could, there's two big ahas that I got out of this related to this virtual thing.
Yeah.
One is, first, just a point, the fact that we have, and this came from, what's his name, from Josh Team, the relationship that we have with Google and with Facebook, that's big. That is huge for opportunities. So we need to pay attention to what we're doing in those areas because of the relationship we have, and that's only a plus. The thing that scared me was Google's statement that because of that we're at risk of losing more than 50% or not having exclusivity to 50% of our database. So all of my past clients, all of my sphere, they're out there, and the loyalty thing. So that got me nervous and got me to think about what I need to do, because they're out there and there's so much available. The loyalty isn't there like it was in the past. So what my major commitment out of this whole thing is that I am going to operate, not exclusively, is to do my business virtually, to run these seminars, to run these webinars, to engage with my clients, to meet with new buyers, do listing appointments virtually, and only go out when you're ready to close if you need to. I just think virtual is the new normal. And I think there's huge opportunity there. And so that's our big, if there's one thing that we're going to switch or move towards, is doing more proactive work virtually. And I don't mean just one-way communication. I mean interactive, whether it's webinars, whether it's one-on-one meetings, it's listing appointments, it's buyer consults, doing it virtually, and figure out how to do that. That's the biggest thing out of the 3 days for me.
That's awesome. You actually answered my next question that I was going to ask, as far as what was the one thing that you took away from Mega
sorry.
Camp that would instantly move your business forward. So it sounds like, moving into this virtual aspect and, really taking that seriously and putting 100% into it is where you're at.
Yep.
Awesome. Donna, how about you? What's the one thing you took away from Mega Camp that will instantly move your business forward?
Lead generation has many different forms. it's not necessarily just working the phones. Back to Bob, it's the buyers and brews. It's the, other, there's webinars, it's networking, it's being face to face, it's bumping into each other. It's having a vibrant and rich social media presence. You whatever it is to somebody is what it is. So it's going to look different. And the agents who are willing to reinvent themselves are the agents that'll thrive.
Absolutely. I agree. Awesome. Thank you. Frickin' Lisa, how about you? What's the one thing that you took away from Mega Camp that's going to move your business forward?
Leverage. Yeah, we're kind of focused
you
on
say
leverage
leverage?
now so that we can focus on our one thing. Lisa was just reading through some of the notes she took from another class regarding like luxury practices and gifts, and instead of waiting for the end to ask for a referral, ask.
Or even
You
closing
can
gift,
say.
just causing, the creation of a surprise and delight throughout the entire transaction, I think is really fantastic. If you think of, they were giving examples of the Ritz-Carlton, it's a hotel, it has a bed, it has, everything's the same as, the Holiday Inn, but what are the little surprises and delights along the way that in the end, you don't need a closing gift. You're giving something all along the way. There are little tiny things that you're doing a little extra. So don't wait till the end. Keep them, keep people happy, and it doesn't have to be expensive either. People
Awesome,
were
I love
selling
that.
like $30 million properties and they spent $350 total throughout the entire transaction, to just surprise and delight them. So I think, and then the other thing, I feel like, going back to becoming like, having servant hearts, we're here to service and help people. And if we really go into every transaction with that and they feel it, that's the most important thing. We want to enhance their lives. I think that's you have to keep going back to that really, what's the focus? Why do we do this?
Absolutely. I love it. Thank you. Andrew, how about you? What was the one thing that you took away from Mega Camp that's going to move your business forward this year?
I was like snapping my finger with Bob because I totally agree with everything he said. Most of you guys know I'm a dual career agent. I'm actually here trying to finish up this development in Boston. And the more I can leverage myself and the more I could be where my clients want me to be in terms of like seeing a buyer seminar or scheduling a buyer consultation, the better it will be for me overall. And I could service more clients and do more business, even if I could only provide 20 hours a week of my time. Obviously leveraging with my admin, but I think it's so possible. And just by seeing a lot of these talented mega agents kind of talk about it, I'm like, this is a no-brainer. I just need to go all in this fully digital world. And it's also interesting because COVID almost helped out a lot of people. I think it's going to be a benefit to realtors because now we don't have to run around like chickens with our head cut off, less and less at least, and allow the consumer to come to us when they need us and just give them, whatever information already out there, but it requires none of our input, so they're happy, we're happy, we have better lives with our families, and, everything just is a win-win. So.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. That's great. Donna, do you feel that the investment you made to attend Mega Camp digitally was worth the money you spent this year?
Yes. First of all, as a staff member, I think it's my responsibility to always be on top of whatever's happening within Keller Williams. So, and I take that seriously. So yes, but also just an opportunity to, again, hear from Gary. When he said the stock market is not the economy, like, because my 401k is doing great. but that's not the economy. That really resonated with me. Would I want to do it every year like this, even after, whatever is ahead for us? I mean, I really do prefer to be with people, I really prefer to be with people. So, but I definitely think that you didn't spend money to get there. You're not freezing in the convention center. You don't need to take a day off to recover. In some ways, it's better in some ways, but definitely worth the money if you ask me.
Thank you. Bob, how about you? Would you agree?
Yes,
Yeah. You feel like the investment was worthwhile?
absolutely. And by the way, I just happened to notice Matthew is on the call here listening. So was Kathy Arnold, and it was great as they were there with me. That was the most important. I got so much value out of it for so little cost. And again, I like to be in front of people, but I'll have to just do it differently. It doesn't mean I can't do that, but in other forums. But this was well worth it. Well worth it.
I think
Awesome. Thank
Matthew
you.
took a ton of notes. I talked to him during Mega Camp, and I don't know if Matthew has anything to say, but I know he was enjoying it. And Matthew, can you talk about something that you got out of it that you thought was awesome? I don't know if you could hear me.
Matthew, you're on mute.
Maybe
Well, we're gonna open it up for Q&A at the end. So maybe if you want to shoot him a text, Bob, and he can hop on and share some info at the end here.
Oh,
Please,
sorry, no, I'm
Yeah.
here. I was just running around the house. That's why I
That's
don't have my
okay.
video on. I'm still in my robe. But yeah, I mean, everything. I mean, I guess the main takeaways for me is really the transition to virtual, number one. Just utilizing that as Sven and Kimberly did. And I mean, I've been following. I think I follow Kimberly on Facebook as well. And I mean, it's just the different ways to do it. And the one thing that really resonated with me is, I don't know if it was Gary Keller, no, someone said initially there's, every lead generation source works. You just have to pick one and focus on it, whether or not that's what Kim does with the beers and brews, or Sven does with his virtual pre-recorded videos, or just anything really. It could also be cold calling expireds and FSBOs. I mean, just pick something and really focus on it, so you can, you have to develop habits and scripts on it and get really good at it, and basically be better than everyone else at it. And that's one of the things that resonated. There's a lot. It's hard to sum up Mega Camp. I mean, I have a ton of notes, but I mean, those are the main things. And then the transition to virtual, and then just hearing Gary speak about, and Josh Teams about what's going to happen, in the next year, in the coming months, and listening to Google and Facebook. There's a lot to digest. And we've been periodically as a team, after each session, we've done it, but we haven't done an overall. I think we're going to do that on Thursday. So we're going to kind of go over everything in all of our notes, but I definitely think it was worth my investment in time. It's my first Mega Camp.
Great.
I didn't know what to expect at all, and I tried to do as much as I could. I did filled up my personal agenda, the breakout sessions, and I attended everything else I could, and I thought it was great. I thought it was really worthwhile.
Awesome. Thank you, Matt.
Yeah.
Lisa, what would you say excites you the most about the future of real estate and KW?
It's always, for me, the education and the opportunity to change your life. I feel like, I'm reading Think and Grow Rich right now. So, it's like bold. It's like everything else. I mean, you can attain whatever you want to. You just have to start in your mind. And I feel like, we have the tools here to do anything we want, to change our own life, to change other people's lives. So in this changing world, I feel like the pivoting that Keller Williams gives you and offers you, I think is fantastic. I mean, the way that we immediately went to online and the tools and the sharing. I mean, I don't know if anyone else has this much of, this sharing togetherness and the willingness to share with each other. So I don't know, I guess that's what I feel like I get out of every single time I take a class, go to mega camp, family reunion. I mean, I would take classes all day long. I love it. I feel like you get a nugget all the time. It's hard to figure out what to put in your business, but I just feel like the education, I mean, your business grows to the extent that you do, right? So I feel like we're in the best place.
Awesome. I love it. Thank you. Andrew, how about you? What would you say excites you about the future of real estate in KW?
What I really appreciate is that KW is being an early adopter. They're thinking ahead, and they're not being complacent. They realize that the world's changing around us. The industry is changing around us, and we have to do things so that we're the early adopters. We kind of stay on top. And more importantly, I just feel like Gary truly believes that he wants every one of the agents to have a better life for their family. And, it's less about selling as many houses as you can, but for you to have, a life worth living. So that all makes me feel good. And, everything that they do is consistent with the mission and, the path forward. So always appreciate that.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So Anna, why should somebody attend Mega Camp next year, whether it's digital or in person?
Oh boy, because you're a business owner, you need to focus on your business. You need to learn and grow. You need to find out what's going on. You need to network with your peers. I mean, the networking obviously was a little difficult this year, virtually. Hopefully maybe we'll be all back together again next year. But being with your peers and learning from the best and networking with them and setting up referrals is, it's priceless. It's priceless.
Thank you. Bob, what would you say why somebody should attend Mega Camp next year, whether it's digital or in person?
I look at the options for learning. I've attended Bold 6-7 times. I am in Ignite now, kind of listening in, trying to absorb it. All of these sessions and the investment of time for those, while they're really important. I mean, it is 3 weeks, for instance, Ignite, and those are good. But Mega Camp, when they're, you get it all. It's compressed. It's focused. It's not a waste of time. You're not consuming extra time. You can select what you want. It's very targeted, and you get it all in there. Now, the whole thing is implementation, and that's the challenge. But you get what you want. If you just listen to what the participants today have said, how could you get that any other way?
Right.
It would just take so much, and it's so compressed. You can't beat the investment. Can't beat the investment.
Thank you so much. I want to thank all the panelists for speaking today and sharing their experiences from Mega Camp. Really appreciate you guys taking the time to share your insights. I want to open this up. We have about 15 minutes left for questions. So I'd love to hear from the other agents on the call. Any questions that you have for our panelists or just anybody that might be on the call that attended Mega Camp. Please feel free to unmute yourselves and speak up.
Yeah, I got a question.
Oh, go ahead, Bill.
Oh, sorry, Bob. You want to go?
Nope. Beauty before me.
Yeah. Matt, you inferred something about Gary and Jay and talking about 2021 and beyond. What sort of wisdom did you capture from them in terms of what they're anticipating in the coming year?
Who are you asking?
Well, I'm asking the photo of Matt Rhines.
Okay.
Okay, I'll text them again.
Or
No, I'm here. Sorry, I'm running around the house. Could you repeat that question one more time? I'm sorry about that.
yeah, sorry, Matt. Yeah, no, you mentioned something about both Gary and Jay. They had kind of touched on their thoughts and their anticipation of the coming year in real estate going forward.
Yeah.
More specifically, what did you take from what they had to share?
Well, yeah, there's a lot. That was the first thing that opened up Mega Camp day one. And I mean, he basically told, he talked about what's going to happen potentially with forbearances. He could see more foreclosures. He expects maybe an early rise in 2021. Unemployment is what's going on. Is the unemployment now is only affecting the smallest portion of the buyer pool in real estate, which is the wealthiest, happens to be the wealthiest people. It says, I think people over, is it 35 and over or 40 and over are affected the least. And those are the most likely, like 75% of the buyer pools at the moment. And what he said is it's also affecting the service jobs the most. And it hasn't trickled down to like the financial, so unemployment. That's why real estate has been kind of steady, because it hasn't affected us quite yet. It's affecting the service industry, the maintenance industry, and eventually the dominoes will fall, and that will trickle down to our industry and other industries, like Wall Street, financial. So basically there's no way he can predict, but he's thinking that with foreclosures coming on and unemployment could be affecting more or less everyone, us at one point. It's hard to say what's going to happen. He basically said the best you can do is kind of prepare and predict for the future. And it may be not to be pessimistic, maybe a rough road ahead, whether or not it's next year or the year after. But for real estate, it could be, it could be a little tougher than especially it has been this past. I mean, I've been lucky, I've been in the business since it's been pretty steady. I joined last year, but the next few years could be tougher. And he's basically saying, prepare for that, get your finances in order and make this transition. He even said a lot, maybe he didn't talk about personally virtual a lot, but it all comes together is you want to keep your database, get in touch with them. And a lot of ways people are searching, especially with 1/3 of people still uncomfortable leaving their house, is virtual. I mean, it has to be virtual, whether or not, the pandemic, there's a vaccine and it goes away. And he also mentioned that as a big factor as well. But I mean, the main takeaway is that you just have to prepare and adjust. And the best way to do that is, try to get in front of as many buyers, keep in contact with your sphere. And basically everyone essentially, like I know Bob mentioned, is up for grabs, because 50% of people tried a new service during the last, this year during the pandemic, because it's virtual and you can try anything new so easily on your phone. So, I mean, basically it's just prepare for the future, and you may have to make some adjustments to your business in order to do that. But, there's no way to predict it, but what he basically said is don't underestimate the future, kind of be prepared and, do everything you can to get yourself in a position that if things do turn, you're pretty much ready to keep going and take hold of it. So that's what I got out of it.
I think it's important when the mindset going into some kind of a shift, right? If you're preparing for doomsday is going to come. And I think that chances are you're going to be a part of that doomsday, right? I think just going into it, knowing, you have your systems in place, your habits nailed down. A lot of people here today talked about habits, and that's all systems are really, just documented habits, right? But if you follow those, if you continue to be proactive and you continue coming from contribution, you continue just reaching out to your database, your sphere, whatever that means, you're going to be just fine, right? It's like Forrest Gump when he first tries to become a shrimp boat captain and he can't get the shrimp. There's so many other shrimp boats out there. Then the big storm comes, blows them all away. And now Forrest is getting all the shrimp, right? And that's where you want to be. You want to be Forrest after the storm goes through, so that you're the one that's getting that shrimp. And at the end of the day, it's all it is about preparation and being proactive and reaching out to your people. That's it. And I saw it happen in 2003, 2004, 2005, 2006, even 2007. I is when I got into the business in 2003. through those years, I didn't make any money at all. I was working 2 jobs. There was so many subprime lenders. Everybody was a mortgage lender. There were tons of realtors. And then 08, 09, 2010, 11, and 12 came. And while everybody else was getting out of the business because there was nothing to be had, my business just continued to climb and went through the roof, right? Because I had nothing to do but prospect for the first 3 to 5 years that I was in this business. So just continue doing that. And regardless of what happens in the market, we're going to be just fine. We are so lucky to live inside of 495 and to work 20 minutes south of Boston. We're so lucky because once we get outside of 495 or maybe, outside of our area, things do slow down a little bit, but even there, you're still going to have realtors that are killing it and lenders that are killing it. But with where we live and where we work, regardless, knock on wood, what happens with the economy, we're still going to be they're selling a lot of houses and people are going to be buying a lot of houses in our area. And we're so lucky because of that. So take advantage of it, stay proactive, stay on top of your business, stay on top of your people. And regardless of what happens with the market, we're going to be successful.
Thank you. We still have a few minutes here, guys. Does anybody have any additional questions that they'd like to ask regarding Mega Camp?
I'll throw one out there to Rick and Lisa.
Oh, no.
So maybe it's the admin, but what's the first thing that you're implementing from Mega? The first thing you guys walked out of Mega, what's the first thing you're implementing in your business?
Job description.
Yes.
Job description for the roles that you're interested in hiring?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also think actually networking with other agents. I notice a lot of the top agents network with each other, right? They call each other during COVID and ask questions and have private little masterminds. And we really haven't done a whole lot of that except like when there's a class, right? So I think one of the things I'm thinking of is just implementing that with other agents who are doing what I want to do and just reaching out to them a little more than I had in the past.
There, and we just need to figure out what is our role. And that's why our focus on, virtual, doing more things virtually, is to stay engaged and figure out our role, because I think we're safe going forward, but we have to differentiate ourselves. And because most agents don't have what we have in Mega Camp and Family Reunion and all that training, and we can see it. So I think that's going to be a differentiator. Is we have a unique role, and if we play it out, we'll survive. And by the way, even if there's more forbearances, foreclosures, I went through all those, and my business never got affected. You just shift your model. You do more foreclosures, you do more of this. So there's no reason for our business to fall off now because of what Bob Malone said. You have systems, you have processes, and you just and you're prepared for it. So.
Right. Listen, never change the goal, just adjust the plan on how to get there, right? So the world is always changing. And years ago, Gary said that, people are afraid that it's going to become this whole virtual world and that they'll no longer need real estate agents or people to help with these interactions. It's never going to happen. I mean, could you imagine purchasing a home with just a computer and never speaking to a person, or selling your home just on the other side of a computer without ever talking to a person? Humans aren't made that way. We need interaction. We need that trust of talking to another person and, having them tell us, this is okay, this is a smart move, you're doing the right thing, these are the right steps to take to help get you there. We're always going to be a necessity. We're always going to be needed. I think it speaks volumes how quickly we were made. I'm trying to think of the word. Essential. Thank you. During the pandemic, we were one of the industries that was deemed essential right off the jump at the beginning of this. We were back to work before a lot of other industries went back to business. And, that speaks volumes. People want to work with people. Yes, being behind a computer and having a meeting that way might be easier, rather than meeting in person. But at the end of the day, they're going to want Bob at the other side of the table, making sure that he's guiding them through the process and you agents on the other side of the table, making sure that you're there to help them through the process. And even if it is just from an emotional perspective, it's just the way the humans are built. And Gary's been saying it for years. So I wouldn't let that get into your mind, but I think that you should definitely be focusing on, you know, making sure you're visible in a virtual perspective, like making sure that you're putting videos out there on social media. Videos are watched a lot more than pictures are viewed. You know, those are things that you have to be on top of and looking at and making sure that you're staying, you know, engaged with is what is actually being viewed the most. You know, Andrew mentioned it at the beginning. People's attention spans are really short. They're being inundated with so much information on a daily basis, you know, so you want to make sure when they see you, it makes an impact right away. So those are all things to be thinking about, but don't worry, Bob, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah. I'm not concerned.
Any other questions, guys?
No, this was great.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everybody that participated in the panel, and thank you, everybody, for attending and asking questions. We appreciate it. Bob and Sam.
Anybody doing Bold? Bold is coming again.
Coming again.
It's also at a discounted rate. Oh, I think if you did it before,
$79, right?
$79. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if
I
you
mean,
get
that is one of the positives about this whole virtual world is that everything's becoming a little bit cheaper.
I know.
Take
What was it?
advantage of it right now
$7.99 in
before
the
it becomes
past.
normal. Awesome, guys. Well, thank you all so much. Bob and Sam, thank you as always for allowing us to have our masterminds and to host this for us. Appreciate everybody's time today, and I hope everybody has a great day.
Thank you. Have a great week, everybody.
Bye.
Take care,
Bye,
guys.
guys.
Thank you. Take care.